We do want to continue on here on Live Now from Fox with this post that was put out by the Israel Defense Forces, the IDF, now saying here, so put it on your screen, that new steps to improve the humanitarian response in Gaza. Aerial airdrops of aid will resume. The airdrops include 7 pallets of aid there, and the airdrops will contain flour, sugar, and canned food, designated humanitarian to enable safe movement of UN convoys delivering food and medicine. Humanitarian pauses may be implemented in populated areas to facilitate aid. And so a power line from Israel to a Gaza desalination plant has been reconnected, boosting daily water output to 20,000 cubic meters. The IDF emphasizes that there is no starvation happening in Gaza. This is a false campaign promoted by Hamas.
Shalom. First of all, I'd start off by giving all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushai, Ba'Shem, Rakadash. The belongings and teachers, zealous, and apostles of great millstone, likewise, brothers, putting out the truth, faithfully, fearlessly feeding the sheep, and do brothers and sisters tuning in. Shalom. Today's lesson's title, Under the Devil's Rulership. And by now, you would know who the devil is that we are referring to, okay? It's Esau the Edomite, the so-called white man. Now, the first thing that you notice about that video clip there is the denial from Esau, okay? Really, they're a subcomponent, okay, or sub-tribe of Esau, okay? The Amalekites, okay, or Amalek. Okay, the so-called Jewish people here on this earth, the ones that have that country over there, okay, that they call the State of Israel, okay, which was a corporate formation in 1948. Okay, so they're not the true biblical Hebrew Israelite, okay, that's being spoken here in the scriptures, okay, which are the so-called blacks, Native Americans, and Latinos, okay, and the speckled bird across the earth, okay, who sigh and cry daily, okay, of the oppression of this wicked devil. In fact, when you go into the book of Psalms 58 and 3, it reads, the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. And this, they're a liar. They're over there slaughtering non-combatants, you know, killing children and women, okay, and they're starving out those people. In fact, I'm going to bring out the video that shows the proof, okay, which contradicts exactly what these kikes over there are trying to, you know, clean up their image to the world of what they're doing, okay? Keep in mind that Netanyahu, okay, is using their pillaging and their destruction on these people, okay? He's saying that it's their, you could say, biblical rights to do this, okay? But we know who they really are, okay? Let's go into the book of Jeremiah 50 and verse 31, because how they deny what they're doing is similar to how they deny what they've done to the children of Israel. This is why you hear these Edomites say slavery was something that we wanted to do, that we sold each other into slavery, okay, that we liked being under their subjection. And this is the reason why you're hearing this roar of make America white again or make America great again. And you're seeing the emboldenment of these people. Okay, this is Jeremiah 50 and starting verse 31. It reads, behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, said the Lord God of hosts. For thy day is come, that the time that I will visit thee, and the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise him up. And I will kindle a fire in the cities, and it shall devour all round about him. So we always prophesy about the destruction of Great Babylon, America, the destruction of the Edomite wicked kingdom. Thus said the Lord of hosts, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, the children of Israel and the children of Judah, northern and southern kingdom, okay, were pressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. And anyone want to deny that took place and that have taken place and that is taking place right now, look into the headlines. See, Esau will deny that this actually happened right here, okay? The slavery, and this isn't only to the so-called blacks, okay? This was happening down in South America to our northern tribe brothers and sisters down there, okay? We know what they did with the indigenous Indians here, okay? The tribe of Gad, wiped them out with disease, okay, trick them into surrendering, pretend to be their friends, okay? And today, even in 2025, we are under the subjection and the oppression of Esau. And this is why you're hearing about the internment camps. Okay, Alligator, Alcatraz. Okay, you have a wicked Lord that is smiling in the camera every single day, talking about he's building these internment camps of whole people that don't belong here in Great Babylon, America. So these are the people that the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai, has set in charge. In fact, when we go into the book of Daniel, you will get proof of this. Okay, this is the book of Daniel 4 and 17, and it reads, "This matter is the decree of the watchers and the man by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of man, and give it to whomever he will, and set it up over the basis of man." The basis of man is Esau. Esau is the devil. When you look at the word devil, okay, in the online etymology dictionary, okay, it reads Old English Diaphol, a devil, a subordinate evil spirit afflicting humans. Also in Christian theology, the devil, a powerful spirit of evil, otherwise known as Satan, which we always refer to Esau as what? The devil, Satan, okay? He's a liar, a deceiver, okay? And notice that it says a devil, a subordinate evil spirit afflicting humans. Esau, okay, is also known as a hireling, okay? He's the one that the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai sets up, okay, as his left side to punish the wicked on this earth, including us, okay? He's set up on the left side, okay, to do bad things, okay? So they can't do great things, or they can't do good things because they're a hireling. They're also the devil. Esau, the Edomite, the so-called white man, is the devil.
The baby being carried into hospital in Gaza City by his uncle is just one tiny testament to the hunger crisis here. Audet is an orphan after his parents were killed in the war, and the relatives who are bringing him up have scarcely enough food to feed themselves, let alone him as well.
Audet is suffering severe malnutrition. He's not accepting milk or nutrients, nor supplements at all, and that's all due to his very difficult health condition.
Saeed has cerebral palsy, and he's gone for 3 days, surviving only on water. The hunger first targets those with pre-existing medical conditions, or children like Mohammed, 7 months old, yet weighing just 4 kilos. His mother too malnourished to feed him, and his grandmother dizzy from the lack of food herself.
There's nothing. Where can I get food? I mean, there is no food in all of Gaza.
The UN's main aid agency here says Palestinians are neither dead nor alive now, but walking corpses instead, fainting from hunger in the summer heat. Israel says it has let enough food in, but over 100 aid agencies say that simply isn't true. The head of the World Health Organization calling this man-made mass starvation. Isn't it shameful that we're starving, asks Taisir. I want to get breakfast for my children. I've got 22 people to take care of, including the injured. Then there are the orphans. Enough is enough. Even aid agency workers are not eating in order to feed what there is to their children first.
Our staff is trying to take care of their casualties without having eaten as well. So this is a really pressing situation, scenario, and it needs to end. I think people are at the end of the rope. It's hard to continue to go on day after day. I don't know how they've done it up to this point.
Before you share the details with these people, you need to understand who they are. So let me show you a short clip here, okay, in regarding these, okay, Ishmaelites, okay, the Arabs, all right? Because you've probably had some experience with them where they look at you, you know, cross-eye, or been very rude to you when you go to their establishments, such as 7-Eleven or to their gas station, okay, or the businesses that they set up in Jake's neighborhood, and you see how they treat us. So these are not innocent, okay, people here, okay? Let me show you a short clip, and then I'm going to read a scripture for you.
A very important yet often unnoticed cornerstone was the Arab slave trade. The Arab slave trade, also referred to as the Trans-Saharan slave trade, encompassed a long series of commercial interactions and trade, including the slave trade of black people between sub-Saharan Africa and North Africa, headed by the Arab slave merchants. The genesis of this story of captivity started with the invasion of North Africa by the Arabs in the 7th century, when the latter took over the command of the region, including its trading. Yet, this is insufficient to explain the history of the Trans-Saharan trade. Maghreb, also referred to as Central North Africa, which included modern-day countries like Morocco, and Sub-Saharan Africa, which included regions like modern-day West African countries, Nigeria, Ghana, etc., had an exchange market based on particular products. The Arabs needed the gold that could be mined in Western Sub-Saharan regions, and the Sub-Saharan regions needed the salt that was produced in North Africa. This mutual dependency kept both regions at ease and flourishing despite the difficulties of navigating the desert between both regions until around the 10th century, when some best described as skewered minds saw the opening up of a new market with the most unthinkable currency of exchange: humans. Were the Arabs in need of products other than gold? Were the sub-Saharan residents running out of gold to trade for salt? Whatever angle it is viewed from, one thing is certain: it takes two to tango. By exchanging humans as slaves for commodities, both buyers and sellers not only dehumanized humans, but jointly affirmed the establishment of what is the longest lasting slave transaction in African history. While centuries passed by, the Trans-Saharan trade continued to flourish, although not without consequences for the sub-Saharan countries. However, by the mid-15th century, the era of the infamous European slave trade came into being in a not so different manner. The European slave trade, also known as the transatlantic slave trade, describes a series of events involving the trading of enslaved Africans to European nationalities. Similar to the foundation of the commercial interaction between North and Sub-Saharan Africa, it is most probable that gold, amongst other mineral resources, drew the Europeans' attention to West Africa. However, the common saying, "all that glitters is not gold," seems to have been manifested, or, more accurately, reversed in the case of the Europeans, as they did find an unlikely gold mine in the lands of West Africa, the slave trade market. While it is true that slavery and slave trade practices existed in Africa before the Europeans landed on the continent's soil, it is also true that slave traders and slave trade practices grew with the advent of the Europeans. After all, if the demand is high, a corresponding supply is to be expected.
And as you saw in that short clip, they were part, of the slave trade. Now you say, well, it was a sub-Sahara or trans-sub-Sahara slave trade. When you go into the book of Deuteronomy 28, let's just take a look at this. Deuteronomy 28 and 64, it tells you that we were scattered amongst the nations. And how were we scattered? We were scattered through this slave trade that you see going on here. Keep in mind that we ran into the corridors of Africa, when Jerusalem was burnt down. We escaped. But we can escape the judgments. It says, this is Deuteronomy 28 and 64, it reads, "And the Lord, Yahweh Shemashai, shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth, even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. This is why our people, when they're in these other nations, okay, will serve those nations' gods. They would, dress like them, speak like them, okay? Because the Lord of Yahweh Shemashai has scattered us. So this is how we were scattered. We were scattered over here, okay, through the transatlantic slave trade by the Europeans, okay? Simultaneously going on at the same time, you had the Arab slave trade. Look at the characters. Look at the people. Who's being carried across the Sahara Desert, okay, by led by camels. Yeah, that's us. Okay, so these people are not by any means innocent. Okay, and we have our own problems. Okay, as a tribe of Israel here in Great Babylon, America, okay, to worry about, and our brothers and sisters that are across the earth in these other nations, they're not getting any peace either. They're getting afflicted also too. They're looked upon. They're living in poverty. Okay. So when you go into the book of Numbers 14 and 18, understand this, that nobody gets away from the judgment of the Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. This is Numbers 14 and verse 18. And it reads, the Lord, Yahweh Shemashai, is long-suffering and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgression, which is really mainly for us, okay, the Hebrew Israelites, and by no means declaring the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation. So see, nobody gets away, okay? These nations that you see Esau's going around, dropping bombs, okay, putting embargoes on them, setting up wicked puppet governments to, or suppress or oppress the people, the local populace. This is all judgment. Yeah, it looks heartbreaking when you look at it and you see starving children, you see starving, women and starving men. But you got to think of the brutality of how what these Arabs committed on us through the slave trade, and these Europeans, okay, or / Amalekites. And they're going to get it. Right now, the Lord, again, I said, the Esau, okay, which is these Amalekites, they're going to get their judgment. But they've been set up with the monetary system, the weapons, and the ability to go and conquer nations and put these type of judgments on these nations. So this is judgments, okay? But nonetheless, as our voice is against Esau, okay, as against Esau, we speak, okay, against the devil that the Bible speaks of. Actually, let's go back into Jeremiah 50 and starting with verse 34. Okay, it reads, their Redeemer is strong, the Lord of hosts, Yahweh Shemashai is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. When you look at the word disquiet, okay, it means a feeling of anxiety or worry, which is what you see happening right now. And you go, well, you guys are here. Why are you so happy about the anxiety of these Edomites and these other nations who are perplexed right now? When you go into Proverbs 29 and 2, it reads, when the righteous are in authority, clearly the righteous is not in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. This is mourning. Starvation, constantly bombed, okay? At the same time, when you look at over here with us, what's going on with us over here? Our people are being rounded up daily in the thousands and thrown into these internment camps or thrown off airplanes. Or worst case right now, in fact, they're coming up and saying that many of our people are right now having their organs harvested in the hospitals without consent. That the people are still alive. Our people are still alive under anesthesia when the organs are being harvested. This is the devil, okay? Let's close over the book of Revelation 12 and 12. Because this shouldn't surprise anybody. Again, like I said, these people, they're falling under affliction because they are getting their judgment from the Lord Yahweh Shai, because they had their hands in oppressing us, putting us into slavery. So yeah, we're not speaking on behalf of them. We're just showing just how the Lord deals righteously. Okay? This is how the Lord deals righteously. We got judged, put into slavery, and they had their hands in it. And now they're getting their judgment like that. So I shed no tears for their asses. I don't care how many of them starve. Okay? Because they don't understand this, but we do. Revelation 12:12. Therefore rejoice ye heavens. That's us. And ye that dwell in them. We are dwelling in it because we know, we see there's an end. Okay? There's a couple more things that happen. You know, you have the MOTB, the mark of the beast. World War III to begin, when Yahushua would break through the clouds. Okay? And defeat Esau, the Edomite, the so-called white man, which is Amalek, okay, and the nations on this earth, and set up the righteous kingdom, okay. We know that, so we are rejoicing in knowing that there's some more affliction for us to go through, but in the end, we will be victorious. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth, the people that continuously want to see things go as it is. They hoping the devil would ease up on them, but it's not. And of the sea, for the devil, Esau the Edomite, the so-called white man, Amalek, the fake Jews, the people that owns all the corporations on the earth, all the money, all the Bitcoin, all of the petrodollar, yeah, you name it, they own all the resources. For the devil is come down unto you having great wrath. He's angry because he knows that he had but a short time. He knows that the Negroes, Hispanic, Latinos, a Native American that he is oppressed, that he's continuously oppressing, that he's chasing down, thrown into internment camps, okay, are going to be the people that's going to rule over his ass. And they don't like it. So they're pissed the hell off. And this is nothing more than the wrath of the devil that you're seeing here. So Lord willing, the elect was edified to close out by giving all glory and honor to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahushua by Hashem, Rakakadash. Shalom.